What's going on, my friends? It's your old pal Sean Pierce Johnson here, and welcome back to the channel. You know, I've been seriously making videos on YouTube for about 9 years or so, and I can honestly say of all those years, 2021 was the most difficult. Not only did we have a ton of different supply chain issues that made getting some of this cool new gear next to impossible, but there were also a lot of other personal and professional problems that I had to sort out and deal with over the course of the year. But luckily, the gear world did smile upon me every so often and give us some cool bright spots to this very strange year to be able to move forward and have ourselves a little bit of fun. So in this video, we're going to be recapping 2021 and talking about some of my favorite gear of the year and counting down my top 8, that's right, top 8 going MySpace here, pedals of 2021. Let's get into it. Let's start off by talking about something we only saw one of on the channel this year, and that is amplifiers. And that amplifier is the Hughes & Kettner Black Spirit 200. Now, yes, this has been out for several years, and there are plenty of other videos about it. But this was the year that I really got to intimately know that amplifier, not just get a cursory glance of it. And it's worked its way quite well into my studio setup. You may not realize it, but you have heard that Black Spirit 200 on tons of videos this year. As a matter of fact, I think you've heard it on just about every single episode of Stompbox Saturday that I produced this year. Not only is it my latest go-to pedal platform amplifier because the clean sounds are just fantastic, it also is something that I got to use in a live context as well. In the early part of 2021, I spent a lot of time playing at church. I think I played maybe 5 or 6 times in a 3-month span, which is a lot for me. And 2 of those nights were a straight weekend where that was the amplifier that I was using in the context of the band. Now, although I was running direct, it was still a great performing piece of gear that I could very easily call up a great clean tone and make some music with. The fact that something like this was able to find its way so easily into so many different aspects of my musical life is a real testament to how good it is. And now let's talk guitars, which strangely, I believe we demoed and reviewed 5 different guitars on the channel this year, and all of them were Strat style guitars. Longtime viewers of the channel will no doubt sense the hilarity in this. The fact that I'm traditionally more of a Les Paul player and have famously derided Strats and Strat style guitars over the years as just being kinda meh. Well, my perspective on the Stratocaster and Strat style guitars changed quite a lot over the course of 2021. And it really did get kickstarted in the latter part of 2020, but with a guitar that we only looked at in the springtime of this year. Shortly before the Christmas holidays in 2020, I took delivery of this absolutely gorgeous Orsmby SX GTR 7-string. Now, I did a gushing, glowing review video of this, which you can check out in the card in the top right-hand corner of your screen. And I'm bringing it back around to really highlight this range of guitars. More and more models are being introduced into the GTR range, and including a brand new GTI range, which puts guitars like these in a much more affordable category in case you're interested in them. Orsmby is doing an incredible job of working with its partner builder in Korea and in Indonesia to get these high-spec guitars at great affordable prices. And not only that, you are getting a setup from the Orsmby custom shop in Perth, Australia, so you can rest assured that if you want to spend money on an Orsmby GTR or GTI, it's money well spent. The real kicker of all this for me is the fact that after all these years, Fender and myself partnered up for 3 different videos on 3 different Stratocaster models this year. But of all of them, all 3, the one that really takes the cake is one that I think you guys will definitely agree with me on. It is the American Pro 2 Stratocaster. Of course, the Dark Knight maple fingerboard model that I love so very, very much, and it seems like you all love very, very much. This was by far my best performing video of the year, and one that I am incredibly proud to have out in the world. Not only did I love all the tones that I was getting out of it, this was also a video where I really felt like I hit my stride with making guitar-related videos. The best way to present guitars that I get in for demo and review to you watching at home. Some of you will probably be wondering why I picked the American Pro 2 over the Noventa and the 75th anniversary Stratocaster. Well, the Noventa is kind of a special oddity. It's not your traditional fare. But why I went with the American Pro 2 over the 75th anniversary, considering that they're so very similar, is that everything that Fender has done with the electronics under the pickguard is really what I'm looking for in terms of a Stratocaster. A traditional layout with a slightly more modern sounding set of pickups, and of course, that treble bleed control. As a matter of fact, just before Christmas, I had to play another praise and worship set at church, and I decided, because I could, to just experiment with some different guitars, and ended up bringing the American Pro 2 along. This normally isn't my main guitar, and I was surprised to find that for the entirety of the set, I was just using the Am Pro 2 Strat and riding this volume control and the tone controls like crazy and getting great versatility, great tones, just an all-around enjoyable playing experience in that context. And now, our main event. Which pedal will reign supreme as the champion of Stompbox Saturday for 2021? There's only one way to find out, and we're counting them down, starting with number 8. Last year, the Geneva Amp Sim from Westminster Effects was released and was part of our best of 2020. And this year, its sister or brother, whichever way you want to look at it, Amp Sim, is making the top 8 in the form of the Augsberg Amp Sim. Now, what I love about this is just how easy it is to use. If you're someone who's not really that deep in needing complex amp sims, this is the way to go. A DI output making it easy to run direct to front of house or into your DAW is an absolute great addition to something like this. But it's no different than dialing in any sort of traditional amplifier, and if you're looking for either black panel or silver face deluxe reverb tones, you can find them in the Augsberg. And it also takes pedals pretty well. Next up, an amp-in-the-box distortion pedal. Now, these are a dime a dozen. Every pedal builder worth their salt is doing them, and some do them really well, others not so much. But then, there are companies that do it far better than anybody could ever do it, and usually it comes from Friedman. And this year, we looked at the Smallbox pedal, which has been far and away one of my favorite Marshall-in-a-box distortion pedals that I've ever played. Now, of course, we know Friedman to be a maker of really raging, high-gain, saturated monster amps and pedals, but the Smallbox, being more of a 50-watt plexi kind of sound and not really being something super hot-rodded, this is a pedal that really showed me the power of playing with less gain. My favorite tones tended to be ones where the gain control was either at noon or just underneath it. That's not to say that the high gain tones didn't sound great, but I was just so surprised at how good a low gain plexi sound sounded from this pedal. At this point, the BEOD is a stalwart amongst the amp in a box pedals out there. But in terms of my personal preferences and what I like, I vastly prefer the feel and sound of the Smallbox. Something a little bit more traditional, a little less modern, but I can get modern sounds from very easily. Next up, the number 6 slot, and unfortunately I don't have this pedal anymore because in order to play it, I had to borrow it from one of you. Big thanks to Jason Fuzzmonger for sending along the Boss TB2W Tone Bender. That's right, the hype machine itself has made my best of 2021. I personally didn't find it to be much of a hype machine at all, as I found it to be an incredibly fun experience to play this legendary collaboration between Boss and Sola Sound London. Now, if you've had the pleasure of playing one yourself, I'm sure that you feel almost exactly the same way that I do. There's something about a tone bender. It just works. And we saw in the video with 4 different guitars, one setting, how good it can sound. Humbuckers, P90s, Strat style single coils, and Tele style single coils all performed incredibly well with this pedal. So much so, in fact, that some point after the video was released, I actually got the opportunity to buy one at a good price, and I never could get the money together for it. I tried to sell gear, I tried to trade gear, I tried to just see if I could put it on a credit card, but it just didn't seem like I could get it together, and I wish that I could because I would like to have that pedal back again. But I have the memories and I have the recordings, and hopefully sometime in the near future, these wackos on the secondary market will realize they're never gonna get $1,000 for it, and they'll just bring the prices down, and then I can snag one of those. Maybe. And now we round out the first half of the top 8 of 2021 with another 2-knob fuzz pedal, although this one slightly more psychedelic and sort of looks like a lucha libre mask in my personal opinion, and that is the Vezzpa from Beetronics. Now, yes, it's a custom one made for me, and yes, that did kind of factor into how I felt about it too. But I mean, did you hear the fuzz tones from it? It's thick, it's Velcro-y, it's just all kinds of amazing stuff. And then to add on an octave fuzz on top of that, this thing just sings and screams and has all the kind of fuzzy things that I love. And what I really can say to it is that it's finally brought an octave fuzz sound into the 21st century. This isn't just an Octavio. This isn't a Roger Mayer thing. This isn't a classic octave fuzz. This is a thoroughly modern octave fuzz for the modern guitar player. It is not like the classic stuff. It is looking for you to blaze your own fuzz line trail. So go and do it. And it's tiny, and it looks awesome, and who doesn't like tiny fuzz pedals that look like this? friends, we've reached it. The Champions Circle for Stompbox Saturday of 2021. Now we find ourselves with the ability to usually have a world heavyweight champion and some tag team champions, but those of you wrestling fans out there know that the real workhorse belt is the Intercontinental champion. That's right. Some of you out there get that joke, and this pedal is going to be considered my Intercontinental champion for the year. The Augustine V2 Clean Boost from Westminster Effects. Now, why this one? Well, because quite frankly, it is a workhorse pedal. Ever since I got it, anytime I'm plugging into the rock reverb, this thing is running in front of it, adding a little bit of extra saturation, shaving off some of that tubby low end, and adding just a little bit more sharpness in the highs to really get that articulation coming through. Now, this does sort of replicate what the TC integrated preamp does, so if you're looking for something to get that kind of sound, you need to be looking at this. It holds up with the best of them. It boosts with the best of them. I'm just uncertain whether or not I like my Green Rhino or this more for boosting the Rock Reverb 100. Now we come to this. It's become commonplace for us to see two pedals from the same company occupy the 2 and 3 slot for Stompbox Saturday's best of each year. And this year is no different. And who are our tag team champions of tone for 2021? Why, it's the ACS1 and the R1 MAKO series pedals from Walrus Audio. Now, why am I not holding them in my hand at the moment, you may ask? Because they're currently stuck to my pedal board. And yes, as a matter of fact, I have the entire MAKO Trinity slapped on this pedal board, and I find that they work beautifully for what I'm going for with this pedal board. But the D1 we talked about last year, let's talk about the R1 and the ACS1. First, the R1. I love the adventurous reverbs of BFR, Air, and Refract. They're so cool for creating volume swell and synth pad kind of reverbs to be able to play over and give some really cool textures. Very interesting things to play around with and come up with some cool sounds. But the standard reverbs of Spring, Hall, and Plate are great for foundational work, or like I like to do, use a subtle reverb before a deeper, more dense reverb from the ACS1. You can currently find me running more often than not a plate style reverb from a Keeley DDR onto a Hall reverb on the R1 with a nice little bit of modulation. It's just got this ability to be able to breathe new life into sounds that just makes playing an absolute joy. But the real leader of this tag team is the ACS1. Now, I've played a lot of amp sims over the course of the last few years, and they are getting better and better and better. But when it's come to a compact pedal style amp sim with built-in cabinet simulation, none has felt as good as the ACS1. None. In my opinion, Walrus has foregone dumping a bunch of different amp models and extraneous features into the ACS1 for the right kind of amp sounds and the right kind of features. Everything is simple to dial in. All 3 amp models on this thing sound and feel fantastic. 9 times out of 10, this is the rig that I'm using live. This is the amp sound that I'm using live. And quite frankly, I can't even tell that I'm not using an amplifier. I can't even tell that I'm not miking up a guitar cab. I don't even really care because the tones are that good and I'm able to play. and make music and really enjoy myself. Digital stuff, especially for amp sims, has this really weird X-factor disconnect. You're not quite sure what it is, but you know it because you can feel it. That missing link is in here somewhere. And I don't know where in the algorithms and the ones and the zeros and the knobs and the switches and the whatevers it is. It's in here somewhere. And this is basically going to be my rig until I go back out and play bigger venues where I can actually bring an amplifier and turn it up to a reasonable volume. And now it's come to this. Who will claim the title of the best pedal of 2021 for Stompbox Saturday, taking home the big gold? At this point, it should come as no surprise to anyone. For the second year in a row, your World Heavyweight Champion comes to us from Chase Bliss Audio in the form of CXM 1978. Your best pedal of 2021, or at least in my personal opinion. Okay, let's get it out of the way. Why? Why would you pick this pedal? Well, at the end of the day, when I plugged into this thing, it made me want to make music. It made me want to kind of leave behind making these YouTube videos. It made me want to get creative. It made me want to get back in touch with why I use all this stuff to begin with. It's a reverb, yeah, but it's a deep, intensely inspiring reverb that can do classic sounds and some more adventurous sounds. It's a reverb that anytime I've plugged into it, I just kind of find myself sitting back, playing, enjoying the experience, coming up with new song or riff or chord progression ideas. Being able to explore with the gear, but then explore musically as well, is just something that I can't say that I get out of everything that comes in. Now, I'm sure there are going to be some of you out there who look at the price tag of this and say that it shouldn't be the best of because it's so expensive. But if we're judging a piece of equipment's goodness and badness off of a price tag, we're really paying attention to the wrong stuff. We need to be paying attention to what connects us to our instrument, what inspires us to create, and what makes us want to make better music than we did the day before. That's pretty much how I feel about this pedal. And yes, of course, this was sent to me by Chase Bliss. I got to keep it in return for making the video that I made about it. But the idea that something like this, and it could be anything, made me stop in my tracks and say, you're focusing too much on the wrong thing right now. You need to take a break and you need to refocus on what really matters as a guitarist and as a musician. And that's the art of it, the actual doing of it. Not sitting in front of a camera like I'm doing right now and commenting on stuff and telling people, hey, this is pretty good, you should check it out. Or, well, I don't really do this all that often, but telling people that this isn't that good, don't even bother with it. It made me question things, and it still makes me question things. But at the end of the day, I've started doing this, and you people look to me as a resource to help you make informed purchasing decisions. And I'm going to tell you that as someone who has spent a lot of time playing this, if you want it bad enough, if you want this thing bad enough, You will save up the money for it. And you will wait to get one of these things. But when it comes, you will be inspired. And you will realize why it's this year's champ. And with that, my friends, that is our recap and best of 2021 here on my channel. I want to take a small moment to thank you all so much for your support, both large and small, throughout 2021. It was a strange year. I had the weirdest content uploading schedule that I've ever had in my entirety of doing this stuff, but you stuck with it. You left so many kind words to me during the time that I took off, as well as throughout the year on a multitude of videos on this channel, and I cannot thank you enough. It is one of the reasons why I keep doing this, is your feedback and you telling me that you enjoy what you see. And at least for the foreseeable future, I intend to keep it going. So if you want to see more videos, if you want to help me grow this channel, because we are just now shy of 8,000 subscribers, and I would love in 2022 to get at least above 10,000, please do one or many of the following for me. Give this video a thumbs up, share the link to it with a guitar playing friend of yours, and please click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. However, there is a way that I think you can best support the channel, and that is by heading to my brand new flashy website, SeanPierceJohnson.com, and signing up for my email newsletter. Every time one of these videos gets uploaded, you will receive a link to it directly in your email inbox without needing to worry about notifications and algorithms or anything like that. It's content direct to you at no extra cost. And I'm also going to be writing blog articles for that website about almost every product that I make a video on. In those, I'll be giving you a little bit of extra insight that I might not put in the videos, because people like short videos, but there are other people that love information, like me, and that's what's going to be there for all of you. Thank you so much again for supporting me in 2021. I am truly humbled that I continue to be able to make my way in the world by talking to a camera about guitar gear. Oh well. Until next time, my friends, I'm Sean Pierce Johnson, wishing you all out there great tone, great health, and of course, happy stomping. Cheers, friends, and here is to our champions.